us. I'm proud to have virtually every member of my council team standing here with me today, which shows our enthusiasm and confidence in the plan that we have put forward. I'm joined by Councillors Stephen Dasko, Alvin Tedjo, Chris Fonseca, John Kovac, Joe Hornick, Deepika Demirla, Matt Mahoney, Martin Reed, Sue McFadden, and Brad Butt, along with our Acting City Manager, Sherry Lichterman, Commissioner of Planning and Building, Andrew Whittemore, and Commissioner of Transportation and Works, Jeff Wright, to officially launch Growing Mississauga, our city's newest housing plan. A special thanks goes out to Andrew and his entire team for putting together such a thoughtful plan on how we can work together to build more housing. Mississauga has been a leader for close to a decade in addressing the housing crisis, and the release of our plan today is no different. Construction is at an all-time high in our city. We have more cranes in the sky, 39 of them actually, and last year we approved a record number of new housing units. We are one of the first cities to respond to the province's pledge to build 1.5 million new homes in the next 10 years. The plan we are announcing today outlines 5 goals and 23 actions that we will take over the next 4 years to help create more housing. In Mississauga, we've been given an ambitious target to build 120,000 new homes over the next decade. That means we need to accelerate what we plan to build over 30 years into just 10 years. As Ontario's 3rd largest city, we're already home to nearly 800,000 people, and in less than 30 years, we will grow to over 1 million. There's no question we are facing a housing affordability crisis, and we need to build more homes to meet the growing demand. With the average cost of a detached home over $1.3 million and the average monthly rent over $2,000, too many people are being priced out of the market, and these staggering costs are driving people and investment out of our city. I understand that for the residents who have been living here for 20, 30, or even 40 or more years, this type of change is hard to adjust to. I want you to know that our goal is to ensure that we grow. We continue to be a place where families want to live, to work, and to raise a family for generations to come, with a quality of life that, as Hazel McCallion would say, is second to none. While we are proud of our neighborhoods, their character, and the families who live here, building single-family detached homes is no longer sustainable. It won't allow us to meet our targets, and frankly, we don't have the land to do it. We're entering a new phase in our growth where we need to build up, not out. I know our residents don't want to see Mississauga become a city of mega towers along our transit corridors, and neither do I. We want to grow responsibly, keep the character of our neighborhoods, and intensify where it makes sense, in our downtown, along our major transit corridors, and in growth areas such as Uptown, Cooksville, and along the waterfront. We want to build complete communities that people want to call home. And as we grow, we will not erase all the great things that make us who we are as a city today. Our residents can rest assured we will maintain our identity, and we will not sacrifice the Mississauga that we all love. But we do need to accept that we are a city in demand that is about to welcome hundreds of thousands of new residents, and we need to do what we have always done in Mississauga: welcome them with open arms and build the houses they need in order to call our city home. Our plan lays out a thoughtful and responsible way to accelerate growth and meet the province's targets while increasing supply improving affordability, and making it easier for developers to get shovels in the ground. Cities can help facilitate growth by cutting red tape and working with developers to streamline and speed up the approvals. But at the end of the day, we don't control market conditions, the cost of labor or construction, and we aren't the ones putting the shovels in the ground. We do not build housing, builders do. We need their commitment that when they have their approvals, they get to work right away. And while this plan gives us confidence that we can make this happen, this is a massive undertaking and will only succeed if the provincial and federal levels of government join us as partners by providing the proper funding for infrastructure. We need funding for roads, more than $1.2 billion for transit, fire stations, community centers, parks, and so much more that we will need to service these new homes, as well as expediting transit projects like the downtown loop of the Hazel-McCallion LRT, all-day two-way GO train service on the Milton line, and extending bus rapid transit along the Dundas and Lakeshore roads, and much more. We also need the important funding we receive through development charges to ensure that long before cranes are in the sky, we can get all the pipes and servicing ready, which also depends on the availability of labor, construction materials, financing, and interest rates, all the challenges I know that developers are also facing. This is a monumental undertaking, and simply put, we cannot do this alone. Cities can put our foot on the gas, but we need fuel in the tank in order to cross the finish line. So all of this is to say we are ready, able, and willing to do our part of this plan that outlines how we will achieve it, but we need everyone at the table. Today, we commit to the Housing Pledge and ask our partners in government and the development and construction industry to do the same. We sign this with the understanding that our partners will join us at the table. It's the only way for this plan to succeed. So what's new in this plan? We are committed to addressing housing affordability by working with the province to create incentives that protect existing rental housing and achieve long-term affordability through new housing co-ops and land trusts. Encouraging developers to build 10%, double the mandated 5% affordable units in major transit areas. Encouraging all levels of government when selling property they no longer need to prioritize selling it to a buyer who will commit to building affordable homes. We will help increase the supply of housing by allowing more density in areas of our city that will be welcoming higher orders of transit, such as communities along the Hazel-McCallion LRT. Making it easier to build semi-detached, triplexes, townhouses, stacked townhouses, and garden suites in existing neighborhoods that will help us accommodate more families, seniors, students, and people who want to live and work in our city. Looking at areas in our city that are currently being used for commercial purposes to allow for new housing opportunities, and exploring how we will integrate more opportunities for housing when the time comes to redevelop underutilized malls and power plazas. We will get shovels in the ground by continuing to invest in technology to further digitize, cut red tape, and speed up our planning process to increase our on-time approval rate, which already stands at over 90%. Speeding up the approval of our development applications, reducing the layers of approval while continuing to fund a staff position dedicated to helping developers troubleshoot and navigate the process. In the last 3 years, we've approved over 80% of the development applications that have been brought forward to Council. 80%. We are doing our part to get shovels in the ground, refining or leaning our processes to avoid costs and get the job done faster. We've already saved nearly $1 million and saved over 11,000 hours of staff time, and we will continue to chip away and save time and money where we can. And launching a team who will expedite building permits for homeowners taking on minor projects like retrofits, renovations, and expansions that will allow them to welcome more people into their homes. We will engage the community in helping implement the plan by creating a housing panel, which will have representation from the construction, not-for-profit, and development community, along with members of council. The members on this panel will help us implement the plan, and we will secure a joint commitment to achieving this target together. And last, but certainly not least, we will engage and educate our residents on the plan, and we will do so by building an online development pipeline to monitor progress in real time and online discussion forums. We stand firmly behind this plan. We also stand firm in our belief that the only way we can achieve the province's goal of building 120,000 new homes in Mississauga in the next decade is if we were to become an independent single-tier city. The province has already committed to cutting red tape by giving cities more control over planning, and we need time to see this through. We have demonstrated that we can stand on our own 2 feet, and we have a plan to move forward. A city of Peel would put all of this at stake. It would be an impediment to our building faster, and it would bring together 3 municipalities in polarizing stages of growth, as well as the infrastructure and transit needs that go along with it. The Toronto example provides a glimpse of how difficult amalgamation can be, and it doesn't create the efficiencies and savings projected on how it bogs down government decision-making. We can't afford any slowdowns right now. An independent Mississauga will allow us to stay nimble and quick and respond to the unique challenges our city faces when it comes to delivering housing. It would ensure that we are right-sized to be able to run lean and efficiently, while still giving our team the capacity to develop creative solutions to the unique challenges we face. We would lose our identity, a city so closely associated with our beloved matriarch, Hazel McCallion, and it would be virtually impossible to meet the province's housing targets, one that would grow to 246,000 new homes in the next decade for the cities that make up Peel Region, a bridge too far, in my opinion. Mississauga needs the roads clear with no obstacles in the way if we are going to achieve this goal. I'm confident that by working together, we will achieve it. Thank you, and now I'm willing and happy to take questions from the media.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will open for questions. Our first question is from Siobhan Morris of CTV News.
Welcome, Siobhan.
If you can expand a little bit more on that idea of how it is that a city of Peel wouldn't accomplish the housing targets, because wouldn't you have still different corners of the city, or then all working together, 3 cities towards the same goal instead of 1?
No, the cities are at different stages of their growth and development. You can see that Caledon is a small rural community in the growth stages. Brampton is expanding, building the vast subdivisions we did 20 and 30 years ago. We need to be nimble, efficient, small. We need to cut red tape, cut duplication. We have our own plan to build 120,000 homes. To build 246,000 is a bridge too far when I think of the infrastructure that would be needed to accommodate that growth. We have a lot to deal with right here in the city of Mississauga. We need to be small. We need to be independent. We need to be innovative, nimble, quick to cut duplication and speed up the development process. And if I may say, we want our tax dollars invested back in our city where they can be put to use to build that infrastructure that's needed.
I know that, of course, you're talking about city affairs today, but I know it's no secret that there's been a lot of focus on you the last few days and whether or not you're going to take a run at the Liberal leadership. Is that something that you are looking at or is in the future for you?
Siobhan, I have a lot on my plate right here in Mississauga. I love my city. I love my job as mayor. Today we are introducing a very aggressive housing plan. Earlier today we launched a commitment for $75 million into our brand new hospital we're all so proud of. Earlier this week we launched a $500 million investment with 500 new jobs. So much is happening in Mississauga, and I'm entirely focused on our issues and our growth right here in our city.
Our next question will come from Dustin Cook of the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead, Dustin.
Hi there, Mayor Crombie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you, and thank you for joining us, Dustin.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask about the expected cost that you said, particularly around transit in the plan, at about $1.3 billion in transit infrastructure would be needed to meet these development goals. I'm wondering how much of that cost is expected to be met by the city, and how is the projected reduction in development charges going to impact the funding? Where is this money going to come from?
So traditionally, our development charges were used to build growth and to pay for growth, while in fact that those DCs never did pay for growth. Those numbers are a combination of our current infrastructure needs to build our transit terminal, to complete our downtown loop of the Hazel McCallion LRT, and the many other infrastructure projects that we have ongoing in the city. I'm going to ask our Commissioner of Transportation and Works, Jeff Wright, to come up to the podium and see if he wants to address this a little further. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And in order to meet the housing objectives, we need a marked investment in transit in order to move the amount of people that would be required around the city. So we would see a growth expected in our My Way service in terms of our operating hours, in our number of peak buses that would be operating. And in addition to that, we would be required to invest in rapid transit projects. And we would continue to advocate for the downtown loop, which was cut during the LRT project, continue working with the province and the feds on the Milton all-day two-way GO line. And then in order to meet our growing needs in My Way, continue investment in facilities such as a new electric transit garage. So all that's compiled in the numbers that you operate today. Back to you, Mayor Crombie.
Thank you for that. That was very complete. As you can see, there's no shortage of infrastructure or transportation projects here in the city of Mississauga that we've asked federal and provincial governments to assist us in funding.
Our next question will come from Cynthia Mulligan of City News. Please go ahead, Cynthia.
Hi, Mayor Crombie.
Welcome.
Further to Siobhan's question that she just asked regarding whether or not you would consider Liberal leadership, was that a hard no, or is there any room there to wiggle around in?
Nice try, Cynthia. As I mentioned to Siobhan earlier, I'm entirely focused on my priorities here in the great city of Mississauga. It's an exciting day. We've had a great council meeting today. We are launching our housing plan. We are meeting the province's objectives in record time, but we need their assistance. We need all three levels of government to work together. So I'm focused on my priorities here, and I'm very flattered at the attention that my name has been giving in the political circles.
Next question will come from Karen Longwell at the Mississauga News. Please go ahead, Karen.
Karen? Just waiting for
Karen, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're just unmuting.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Karen. Please proceed.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't hear my name called. I just wanted to ask a question about affordability. I think it's a really important thing for a lot of residents in Mississauga. And I know you mentioned 10%, the number 10%. I'm just wondering if there's anything stronger or anything else that the city can do to make more affordable housing?
Yeah, so we have an entire plan worked around that. In fact, the provincial government have given us a target of 5% affordability in the new developments, and we've asked to increase that number to 10% because the list is long of people who need affordable housing. I'm going to also ask our Commissioner of Planning and Building to come forward to share with you some of the elements and some of the many recommendations that we have made to protect the existing stock, to incentivize purpose-built rental, and to incentivize the building of affordable housing, which includes the selling of surplus land. The City of Mississauga no longer has any surplus land. However, federal, provincial governments do, and we would ask that when that gets sold off, that we do it to a developer who is willing to build affordable housing, or we could see our way to about building seniors care, elder care, etc. Andrew, do you want to come forward and talk a little bit more about our plan to build affordable housing? Andrew Whittemore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So yes, for affordable housing, the real objective is to do two things. First, we want to retain the existing affordable housing within Mississauga. So that is through something that Mississauga Council has been leaders in approving and implementing a rental protection bylaw. But beyond that, what Council really has focused on is creating new affordable units. And that, as the Mayor has said, is primarily through inclusionary zoning, which we are leaders in first implementing that policy. But beyond that, what we try to do with every application is to negotiate affordable units outside of the inclusionary zoning program. And that's been very successful to date. So those are a few of the examples that we've been focusing on. And back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Do you have a follow-up? Karen?
Sorry, our next question.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Karen.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Steve Cornwell at the Mississauga News. Go ahead, Steve.
Crombie, I just wanted to ask you about there's a stat that was presented to Council last week that's in the housing plan that around 78,000 housing units over the past 20 years have been approved for zoning or pre-zoning by city council or city planning staff.
Yep.
Can you just clarify, when you're talking about kind of all the governments and the building industry coming to the table, can you clarify whether you feel at this point whether the kind of building community is doing its part to help with this, what's been dubbed a housing crisis?
Yeah, so certainly we have some great actors here in Mississauga that work together along with the city to build the much needed housing. I will say that number 78,000, I'm going to ask Andrew to come up and clarify. There are approximately 15 to 20,000 permits that have been approved that have not been pulled for a variety of reasons. Market conditions can be one, inability to get financing. I can't predict what the reasons, rationale is why those permits weren't picked or weren't pulled rather from the city. And the bulk of the other permits that you described, the other 60,000, is in the downtown core. Those are the numbers of units that can be built as of right. So we've combined those two numbers to get that 78,000. Andrew, am I correct, or do you want to clarify? He says I'm correct. Thank you. Is there a follow-up, Steve? Thank you.
Our next question will come from Dustin Cook at Globe and Mail. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hi there. I do just have a follow-up. The plan mentions that there's a study looking at reducing exclusionary zoning.
Yep.
How far is that going to go? Why not a complete elimination of it? And is that something that you support?
Yes, we want to create an environment where individuals and where we want to build, where we can build townhomes, stacked townhomes, duplexes, sixplexes, triplexes, in addition to garden suites or in addition to secondary units in retrofitting basement apartments for nanny suites, granny suites, or a basement apartment. So this is part of the plan, and this is what would be called exclusionary zoning, to when there is one lot available that more than one family can be accommodated on that land. And that is part of the plan, yes.
Okay, Okay, our next question will go to Cynthia Mulligan. Cynthia, please go ahead.
Hi, I got missed on my follow, so I'm
Sorry,
back.
Cynthia, that's
there.
fine. That's great.
I just wanted to ask you about the message, the strong message that you seem to be sending to Premier Doug Ford, not to amalgamate. You are coming out fairly strongly against it. Are you going to get under his skin again? I seem to recall on December 7th, he had some harsh words for you. How is his relationship with you, and have you discussed this with him in person, and is he going to listen to you?
It's a great question. My council feels very strongly that we want a single-tier independent city. We've discussed it many times. As you know, we passed a motion a couple of weeks ago where we reconfirmed our commitment to our pledge. Yes, I have had this discussion with Premier Ford. He has spoken very favorably of the plan, and he has told me that there will be facilitators brought in to analyze, our revenues and our assets and liabilities, et cetera. Same will happen to City of Brampton, the Region of Peel, and Caledon, the Township of Caledon as well, and they'll look for a path forward. I feel very strongly about this. I know that the Premier also made a commitment to our matriarch, Hazel McCallion, who also felt very strongly about this. So we're looking forward to fulfilling that legacy and having Mississauga become an independent single-tier city.
We will go back to Steve Cornwell. Steve, go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. I just wanted to talk about, at least in the plan, it had suggested that the 12,000 units per year for the next 10 years would probably have a kind of significant impact on or residents might see a significant impact in certain areas, and I'm just kind of curious about what the priority is in terms of kind of maintaining the neighborhoods that exist,
Sure.
versus implementing this plan. And just is there any kind of shift in kind of the projects that will be, or how council will approach projects that come to planning committee? Because I just note this year there's been 1,100 units kind of rejected so far this year, and the city staff are recommending the rejection of 2,500 units and more units as of Monday. So that's obviously a lot of potential residential space. So can you just kind of clarify how you're going to balance these things together?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me first say that we want to protect and preserve our neighborhoods, but at the same time, we've come to the realization, and I think our residents have as well, that we have to grow and that we have to adapt, and that things are changing in Mississauga, but Mississauga will grow in a very responsible way, and one in which will accommodate more growth and will accommodate more housing and accommodate more newcomers. We are a city of newcomers, and we do embrace that. Now, when council turns down applications, there have been very few that have been turned down. It is an opportunity to go back and work with that developer to accommodate growth, yes, but do it in a responsible way. So it just means that they're going to have to cut back slightly. But that said, there may be an opportunity in other developments to increase their numbers now that we have new targets. So there is an opportunity to look at things, revise numbers in both directions, Steve.
Our next question will come from Khalid Salama of Can India News. Khalid, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Mayor Crombie, can you please define how much is affordable, and we are keeping this at board, let's say, 5 years ago?
Khalid, you have a little bit of an echo, but I think what you were asking me is how much will be affordable, and I'll ask Andrew to come back up and address that as well. We have higher targets than what has been given to us from the provincial government, who have asked that 5% of new developments be affordable. We've asked that 10% of new developments be affordable, so we're very hopeful that the province will allow us to accommodate the additional affordable housing that we know is necessary. We want our residents to live and to work in our great city. So, Andrew, do you want to come in and talk about our targets for affordability here at the city, please?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So there's a range of affordability when we're speaking to that. The plan that Mayor Crombie referred to initially, Missing Middle, was really aimed at households making approximately $100,000 or less. So that was our focus. But our plan now is going even beyond those. Really, what we're trying to do in Mississauga is strive for an affordability range that broadens the spectrum, whether you are in deep need or whether you're over 100,000. Affordability remains to be a serious challenge. So some of the innovation ideas that we're really looking at in terms of doing that is exploring ideas like cooperative housing or reducing parking standards when you're next to an LRT. A lot of those ideas, of course, will be tested with our housing panel, who we're relying on to really help us in terms of addressing and coming up with new ideas for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid. Do you have a follow-up? Khalid?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Very well. In case we manage to stay Mississauga independent, how many hospitals do we need to cater for the growing, let's say, incoming flux from new migrations?
How many residents do we need? Was that the hospitals?
No,
Hospitals. How many hospitals? Well, this morning, I think you're aware that we announced a new donation for our new hospital, which will be a landmark. It'll be iconic. It'll be the largest, newest hospital in Canada, 22 stories, 950 beds, 3 million square feet, right at the podium of the Trillium or Mississauga Hospital, as it is known today, here, Ontario, and the Queensway. So we are very excited for this new build. So, I know our healthcare needs are acute in this hospital, where our hospitals already today see 7 times the demand of any other hospital in Ontario. So this new hospital will go a long way to service the needs of not only our community, but the west end of the GTA.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That concludes our questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today.